Thank you,
Amazing.
guys.
Thank you.
We'll read
Let
more
me
later.
go to Sky out of Texas. Sky, you're on the air.
Hello,
Hey,
Jesse.
hey Sky.
Good to hear from you again. So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
During our prayers, our family prayers during a dinner, we have a prayer before dinner. I have a 4-year-old who doesn't want to close her eyes and participate.
Right.
And so I was fine with that. But my wife kind of got upset. She's like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I was thinking well, is it, I want to do the right thing. I'm like, am I doing, I want to guide her, but also at the same time, I don't want her to do something just to please the people at the table, because I don't know if God's worried about her closing her eyes or not.
Why would you let so your question for me is what?
Is it important to make sure a child is doing something during a verbal prayer because of societal, respect,
That is
or
a
is it
good
important for God?
question, man. That's so good. Sky, can you hold? Let me take a quick break.
Yes.
Don't hang up. It's a good question.
Okay.
I want to go quickly back to Sky out of Texas. And let's see here. Sky, thanks for holding.
Hello.
So restate your question.
So my 4-year-old was having trouble closing her eyes during the family prayer before a meal. And my wife was trying to correct her on that, like, oh, you got to close your eyes and, you got to do this and that. And so my question was, because it's important that I guide her, is it important for her to do that for the people at the table or for God? Because a prayer is to God, and so does God care that she is not closing her eyes and playing around during a prayer, or is it just the people?
That's an interesting question. What so far? How have you been dealing with it?
Well, I've been letting my wife be in charge of my daughter, but yesterday when it happened, I was like, well, let's talk about that later. And then I was unsure. I'm like, well, what's the right move here? So, that's when I was like, I better call because I'm still thinking about it.
And you and your wife talked about it?
Well, not yet. I literally happened yesterday. So I was
okay.
like, I need to. But I thought it was because I've been doing the challenge as well as to be a nobody for 3 days.
Right on.
So that's kind of.
So let me ask, why would you let your wife traumatize your daughter in that way when it's your responsibility to protect your children from the wife, from the mother? Why would you let her do that to your daughter?
Well, in that situation, it seems like the intention is to treat God as if it's important to focus on him.
Your daughter is 4 years old, you said, right?
Yeah.
How is that the intention to treat God the way what?
That we're supposed to be focused on God when we're praying.
And so a 4-year less traumatized, which is happening with your wife doing to your daughter, based on what you've said, she is focused on God already, and your wife is turning her away from God.
Yeah, and I can see that she's doing it because she's worried about everybody else in the room who also don't know that. I'm the only one in the room that's really getting all the clarity in life right now. So a lot is changing for me. So that's why I'm like, this is probably one of those things that I'm gonna have to deal with because I don't want to ramble too much, but during the 3 days of being a nobody, I've watched people interact with my daughter and the family, and then I've watched my daughter look to me to see if I'm siding with them or not. And when she sees that I don't side with them, she then just ignores it and continues and doesn't let it affect her.
Absolutely. That's why I don't understand why you don't correct your wife or didn't correct your wife right there in front of your daughter. Leave her alone. She's 4 years old. She doesn't have to close her eye. That's crazy. I
Well,
don't I don't know why you didn't correct her right then and there, so your
I
daughter
did
can
actually because
see
I
that
was that's what I
you
said. Well,
are walking down the road. So your wife can see that your daughter can see that you're protecting her from this evil spirit of her mother.
I think that I did correct her because I was like, well, she didn't have to do that, and then I was like, we'll talk about it later because she wanted to talk about it in front of the whole family. But I was like, well, let's talk about it later because I
No,
want to
you
make
should have
sure.
just talked about it right then. No, don't do
I
that.
will. I will. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of my family. I'm really not. Yeah, I've been calling. Yeah, but I just went. I was like,
Let me
there
just
is
say
a.
this to you: the the number one reason, but not the only, the number one reason that every human being on earth are suffering with the imagination today, with thoughts and feelings, is because the mother and sometimes the father and the teachers and the preachers have taught them how to think, how to be, how to live. And they've been trying to live up to that, and it doesn't work at all. You can never live up to what you've been taught. It's just intellectual, and it keeps you in hell. And the fact that your wife is teaching your daughter, oh, you got to bow your head and do your, at 4 years old, she shouldn't be teaching her that, period. Because God is above, He's not below. Well, you got to bow your head, number one. But your wife,
Yeah.
and now your daughter is going to be angry at that, and she's going to grow up now thinking she got to bow her head to pray. And when she does it, she's going to feel guilty, and she's going to go to church. She's going to read the Bible. She's going to have the wrong idea about God, and she's going to suffer just as you and your wife are suffering. You should not. God didn't care two pennies, 2 cents about whether you bow your head to Him or not.
I agree. Yeah, in response to this,
And your
I just
wife
want
is
to.
only doing it because she's been traumatized to bow her head when she prayed. Her heart is wicked, and all she's doing is looking down at a wicked heart.
Yeah, and so a quick 6 month summary from January to now. I've started. I listened to your show starting in January. I made the mistake of as I started to see things unfold, the truth. It was so clear to me. I made the mistake of trying to drag other people through the mud to try to see it, and so that wasn't working. And so when I stopped doing that, about 3 or 4 months in, that's whenever big progress happened because then like my wife, for instance, she's just now started coming around the past 2 months to start working on herself because she can finally see the change in me, and I'm not trying to force her to do anything. And so that being said, I guess her experience as a Christian has really only developed in the past couple of years, and then my true experience has really only developed in the past 6 months. So I think there's room for her to learn. But as far as like a prayer thing, I haven't spent much time teaching her about that.
But that
So
was
she's
your
just kind of going
time
off
right
of what the
then
norm
to
is.
correct. The moment presented itself when you were trying to make your daughter bow her head. Why do you take that as a teaching moment?
You know what? Next time we're at family dinner, I will be ready to take on the family because
But
I
why do
wasn't
you
that.
take that as a teaching moment when it happened?
I started to, but then I wasn't sure because I felt like there is a certain amount of. I want my daughter to know that I rely on God for everything.
Well, your daughter's 4 years old. You said she observed you. That's all she needs to
Well,
see is the light in you. She'll be fine. You don't need to
right.
teach her that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I see that, and I definitely. I think I started to correct it, but then I was like, well, how much of it is my wife to like correct that or not? But I wasn't. I guess I
Your
was
wife
like
shouldn't be
80%
correcting
sure.
your children anyway. It should be you.
Fair enough. Well, unless I agree with her, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, like if my daughter's kicking the dog or something, and like I've been it's been a mess. My wife has a lot of anger, and
Of course,
and
that's
she
why
is,
she's teaching your daughter how to become evil, because
I
she's
know,
evil.
but we're getting there, Jesse. We're working on it. We really are, because like my daughter, I'm watching, like, my wife was real upset the other day, and she started crying, and my daughter looked at me, and then she was like, "Come on, Dad, let's go to the car." Like, she was just like, at first, she wasn't worried about it at all, because
Who
I
was
wasn't worried
crying, your
about it.
wife or your daughter?
My wife was crying.
Oh, okay. And you knew she was
Because
lying?
I knew she was lying.
Okay.
And so my daughter, like, looked at me to see if I was going to try to, like, do something about something that she shouldn't have even been upset about.
Right on.
And I didn't. And so she was ready to, she's like, "Come on, Dad, let's go to the car." Like, she wasn't worried about the crying or anything. So
See
we're
there?
getting there. And I always say, I've said thank you so many times, but man, like, I love being able to I love talking to my family about everything they claim as far as following God, and then just bringing to the surface what I can see.
Right.
The past 3 days of trying to be nobody. You ever heard that song, that church song? That I wasn't going to tell anybody, but I couldn't keep it to myself. No, I couldn't. You ever heard that one?
No, I haven't. It sounds good, though. I like it.
What the Lord has done for me.
I like
You
that.
ought to have been there when it saved my soul. Okay. Anyway.
That must be a white song.
I think so. It felt like. Anyway, I think my biggest lesson from the truth has been to be able to see, but wait for the opportunity to come to share, because I can constantly see, and the temptation is to share when people don't want to hear what I have to say.
But don't
So
share if they don't want to hear it.
I know, that's the most difficult part, sitting there being nobody. Because I'm like, oh man, okay, I'm trying to sit here, and because every time I do verbally pray to God, it's always about some kind of clarity. Like clarity, like it's the only time I ever ask for anything is for clarity, and He always answers my prayers. So
Christ said, "Go and tell nobody," and the Christian said, "Go and tell it from the mountain."
I know. That's why I always think about that song. I'm like, that's a church song.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, and I got to run because of time, but does your wife obey you?
Yes, because now that I know how to lead properly, because I know that if I'm not leading with truth, or say I do lead with truth, and she gets upset, and then I do nothing about her being upset, she sees eventually. So yes, because she doesn't. She will always come around when I lead her with the truth. It may take her a minute, but I don't have to change what I've said. It just might take.
Well, you stay with it, and do what you want, but no, don't let your wife or anyone force your children to pray, even the adult one. And don't force them to bow their head and all that stuff. Let them be the example, and they'll follow.
Yeah.
The children become like the parents. And just that the parents are wicked. So all this happening in my country are just wicked children who are wicked, becoming wicked like their parents.
Yeah. I had a discussion with my father the other day because he got upset. And I was like, I said, you got upset because your ego was hurt. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, God gave you my ego. I said, God gave you your ego. And then.
So you say God gave him a devil nature, huh?
Yeah. And I was like, no. Anyway, I'm really enjoying learning and being able to share it without
Right
being
on.
scared or anything, and just
Stay
being
with
a
it,
light.
stay
So
with it, stay with it, man. When you say you love talking to your family, are you talking about your wife and children or your other family
I
too?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I get a thrill from standing in the truth. Like I just, not that I argue, but I get a thrill from sharing, and then just
Are you
not
saying
having to.
with your parents and brothers and sisters and everybody?
Yeah, my
Uh,
parents.
let
Yeah.
the thrill go, man,
Well, what do you mean?
because that
Like,
thrill gonna make you speak truth to people that don't want to hear it, and it's like you're
they
throwing you're throwing giving the truth to shrines. They don't want it.
no, they don't reject what I have to say though. Like I had a whole thing. I went over judgment with my father for a long time, and then he finally came to me and he said, "You were right."
Okay.
I know their hearts in the right place of wanting, but they never had guidance in their entire life. So they
I
respond.
understand that. Yeah.
And they respond, and they don't reject what I say. They struggle through it, and then it's like you can't argue with the truth. So it's like everything always
Well,
lines up
the
with
children of
the Bible.
Satan will argue with the truth.
Yeah, but it's okay because
But those who
I
are
don't. I just sit
seeking
and let
won't
them.
argue with the truth. You're right about that for sure.
Yeah, because it's like just especially sitting there letting not agreeing or disagreeing. It's amazing how my father will sit and ramble and expect an agreement or disagreement, and then I'll just say okay, and then I just and then I just try to bring up what it is. Like, why were you frustrated? Because that's the complete. It's working, Jesse.
Right on.
I do it. I enjoy that. I don't get a thrill from being right, but just because I used to be afraid, and now that I'm not,
Yeah.
I like that I can share it and not be afraid. So
Right on. Oh, amazing. Well, because of time, I got to run, but stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. And
Thank
again,
you.
do what you want, but no, don't let your wife impose that on your daughter at all.
Oh, you might try. I was thinking about donating, and maybe you should do some kind of segregation challenge: white people versus colored people for the donation goal.
A nice idea. But there are a lot of black people, men and women, are being helped by the truth. They listen to the show, or they come to Sunday meetings now, or they hear me on other shows, and they're starting to wake up. They just, as you were saying about your family, they just didn't know about the truth. They had not heard it before.
Oh, last thing.
They didn't know about forgiveness. They didn't know that anger was from the mother. They didn't know that they were blind and couldn't see. But when they hear, there are black men and women who are waking up. Really, man, I hear it all the time.
One last thing. I want to answer Tiffany's question. If Donald Trump were to apologize for racism, they would just simply say he doesn't mean it, and then that would be it.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Then they want reparations.
Yeah, he would apologize, and they'd be like, "Well, he doesn't really mean it anyway, so it wouldn't even matter."
Absolutely, because I think Bill Clinton already apologized to the blacks.
Yeah.
I think it was Bill. I could be wrong, but thank you, man.
I pray that your show will grow and just people will listen, and
thank you.
God will show them. Have a great day.
You too, and happy White History Month.
Happy White History Month. Bye-bye.
Bye now.